Welcome back to Lionhearted. Today, we're going to talk about a topic that affects so many of us at different stages in life: loneliness. It's something we all experience at some point, and it can feel really heavy. But the good news is that loneliness doesn't have to be permanent, and there are steps we can take to overcome it. So, if you've been feeling isolated or disconnected, stay tuned, because today we're going to work through it together. Let's start by breaking down what loneliness really is. Loneliness isn't just about being alone. It's about feeling disconnected from others, even when you're surrounded by people. You can be in a crowded room and still feel lonely if you're lacking meaningful connections. It's important to recognize this difference because sometimes we think the solution to loneliness is just being around more people, but that's not always the case. Loneliness can stem from many things: a breakup, moving to a new place, losing a loved one, or even just going through a rough patch where you feel misunderstood. It's a human experience, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. The key is to acknowledge it and understand that it's temporary. Loneliness doesn't just affect our emotions, it affects our physical health too. Studies have shown that chronic loneliness can lead to increased stress, anxiety, and even depression. It's important to recognize how loneliness is impacting you, both mentally and physically, so you can start addressing it. When we feel lonely, it can be easy to retreat further into isolation, but that often makes things worse. But here's the thing: acknowledging that you're lonely is the first step toward changing it. Once you identify it, you can start taking steps to fill that void in healthy ways. Before we can get over loneliness, we have to accept it. What I mean by that is we need to stop running from the feeling. It's natural to want to avoid uncomfortable emotions, but pushing loneliness aside only prolongs it. Instead, sit with it for a moment. Ask yourself, why do I feel this way? Is it because of a change in your life, a lack of connection, or unmet emotional needs? By accepting loneliness, we're not giving in to it, we're understanding it. This understanding helps us move forward, rather than letting the feeling control us. It's okay to feel lonely sometimes, and it's part of being human. But now that we're aware of it, let's talk about how to overcome it. One of the most effective ways to combat loneliness is by reaching out. This might sound obvious, but I know how hard it can be when you're feeling isolated. It's tempting to stay in your bubble, but reaching out, even in small ways, can make a huge difference. Start by contacting a friend or family member. Even if you haven't spoken in a while, a simple text or call can reignite that connection. If you don't have close friends or family nearby, try joining groups, clubs, or activities where you can meet like-minded people. It could be an online community, a local fitness class, or a volunteer organization. The goal is to find spaces where you can connect with others who share your interests or values. Building new relationships takes time, but every small interaction helps. Another important step in getting over loneliness is cultivating self-compassion. Often when we're lonely, we can be really hard on ourselves. We start to think there's something wrong with us for feeling this way. But the truth is, loneliness is a universal experience. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. It just means you're human. Treat yourself with the kindness you would offer a friend who's feeling down. Give yourself the space to heal and grow, and recognize that you're worthy of love and connection, even if you're not feeling it right now. Self-compassion helps break the cycle of negative thinking that often comes with loneliness. Now let's talk about solitude. While loneliness is painful, solitude can be empowering. Solitude is the state of being alone without feeling lonely. It's a time where you can reconnect with yourself, your passions, and your purpose. Instead of seeing your alone time as something negative, try reframing it as an opportunity for self-discovery. Use this time to focus on your goals, develop new skills, or simply do things you enjoy. Solitude can help you build a stronger relationship with yourself, which is just as important as the relationships you have with others. When you're comfortable being alone, you'll find that loneliness has less of a hold on you. And finally, One of the most powerful ways to overcome loneliness is by finding purpose and meaning. When you're engaged in something that fulfills you, loneliness naturally takes a back seat. This could be through your work, creative projects, helping others, or even just setting personal goals that excite you. When you have a sense of purpose, your focus shifts away from feeling lonely to feeling driven and motivated. It gives you something to wake up for every day, and it connects you to a larger sense of belonging, whether through community service, creative expression, or personal achievement. So if you've been feeling lonely, remember that it's a temporary emotion. It's okay to feel this way, but you don't have to stay in that space. By reaching out, practicing self-compassion, embracing solitude, and finding purpose, you can start to fill that void with meaningful connections and experiences. And most importantly, remember that you are not alone in this journey. So many of us have been there, and there's always a way forward.